Like, I remember you three started hanging out without me, and I had the biggest FOMO of my life. I was like, oh, when you're having shisha up at K Road, and then you're playing bananagrams. I'll let it run its course, and I'll run and move the bystander. Oh, outrun the train.
Super fast.
Okay, Flash. Like, if I get my $500 as an action.
Oh yeah, no, well,
it's like an actual thing.
yeah, you'll get
for
the
sure.
money.
I'm giving my 500. If I had a spare 500,
But you knew it was illegal.
You have a feeling it's illegal.
as long as I don't know what it is, then that's fine with me.
You can go to jail for that.
What?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
No.
Nah.
As an eldest child, I've seen my mom and my dad's relationship. There was a lot of abuse there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of neglect as well. And just seeing how strong my mom is, raising us kids, that shaped the man I am today.
Welcome back to another episode of You Decide Podcast. #YDP, the podcast where we love perspective. And as always,
You decide.
love it, Aaron. Right on cue. All right, we got a really cool episode lined up for you today. But fellas, first I want to start with something a little different. We haven't done it before. A moral dilemma.
Ooh.
Okay? And I just want to get your thoughts, see what your thinking is on this. Let me set the tone.
Okay.
Set the scene.
Hit me with it, brother.
3,000 degrees.
Okay.
Two-tone.
Your friend comes to you.
Mm.
Your friend tells you they've committed a crime. And they can't sleep at night. All right? And they trust only you with this information. You're the only one they trust. A few days later, you read in the paper that someone has been arrested for the crime that your friend done. What are you doing? Are you making them confess? Are you going to the police and telling them yourselves, or are you gonna trust that your friend, or are you gonna say nothing?
Is there a
Essentially.
penalty? Is there a reward?
Yeah,
for,
is there a cash reward for dobbing my
Is
friend
that all that
in?
matters to you?
I think it plays a part in
Hey,
my
man.
answer.
Nah.
Okay,
get
let
out
me
of
say
here.
this. Let me say this. $30,000 cash reward.
Ooh.
$30,000.
To me, it depends on the
Small.
severity of his crime.
Oh, he murdered a family, Aaron.
Did you say that?
No, I'm just making it up.
Oh.
If it's murder, then
Murder.
I'm claiming that money. I'm claiming that money.
If it's murder, yeah, give me my 30,000 now.
Hey, man, snitches get stitches. Don't do it.
Nah, I think morally it's right to dob your friend, and even if there was no money involved.
Wait.
right?
But say, so depending on the severity of the crime, right?
Yeah.
Even if someone else is going to prison for what your mate done.
Mm.
Oh, it happens every day.
How long? Wait, how long is my mate going to prison for?
I mean,
For life.
for early
minimum
plea,
life?
5 years.
5 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
5 years.
That sounds like murder. I'm dobbing my friend in, unfortunately.
5 years? My mate can do that. You'll come out
You
strong.
come back, we'll go house.
Man, I
You
would
get
hope.
15
I would
days.
hope if that's my friend, they'll turn themselves in, eh? But you know, just to go off this dilemma
So if
specifically.
you commit a crime, you murdered someone,
Mm.
would you expect me to tell on you?
Wait,
What crime have you committed?
how about you take the 30,000, right? When I come back out of prison, you split it
gone.
with me.
I've already bought a car.
You went to prison for 5 years for $15,000.
15 G's. How about this? You convince your friend to turn himself in.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And if your mate doesn't do it, if he doesn't do the right thing,
It's like,
just drop a little note at the police station.
So we can all agree that in this specific scenario, that our friend should really turn themselves in.
well,
Or we have to convince our friend to turn themselves in.
well,
that's
if-
what I'll do.
Yeah.
Hey.
But if they don't want to turn themselves in, what's the second option?
Show me the money.
Money, 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 money.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, I would have to convince him
Yeah.
or her. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Okay.
Do the right thing.
Do the right
That's the
thing.
one
man.
right there, Bo.
Do
Alright.
the right thing.
My second one. There's a train going, which is speeding down the track, out of control. The brakes have stopped working,
Ooh.
and there's nowhere to stop it. You just so happen to be standing right next to the lever that can change the direction, the course onto of the train onto
Oh,
another track.
mate.
However, on its original course, if it continues on, it's gonna run over 5 people who are tied to the tracks.
Oh.
If you divert it,
Why are they tied in the first place?
let me get to it. However, if you divert it, it's gonna kill, just unfortunately, a bystander who just happens to be by the tracks. So in track A, 5 people tied. Track B,
One
I'm
person,
taking
a bystander?
I'm taking out the
Bystander.
5.
If you're in that situation and you're
They have
tied,
to be doing
maybe
something
you-
really bad to be in that situation.
like if you had set a car or 5 or a family car stuck on the track, then I'd. Oof. But if they're tied, then they're probably.
So that bystander
they're
is
probably
just
doing
a
some-
random, mate.
random.
they're probably doing
He
some
doesn't see it
bad
coming.
things.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're all random to you. Like you don't know the 5
Okay.
people on the track. You don't know that one person, but you have to make the
Yeah.
decision.
I think for me, I'm diverting it. I'm hitting that one bystander.
One.
Because I'm saving 5 lives over the one.
Aren't you concerned though? But why you guys
Well, they-
tied up to the train?
Well, they
tracks
may
in
have
the
been
first place?
kidnapped. You don't know
So
what
what if-
happened there.
What if you just leave it?
Le-
It's like it's
Just-
not on my hands.
Yeah, just like
It's
nature,
not
you
out of
can't interfere with nature's course.
Oh,
It's
so
out
it
of
was
my
originally
control.
going there, and you just
Yep.
happened
it
to
was
be next
originally
to.
going to the 5
Let's
people.
go there.
Oh.
Just
That's really like, don't be the hero because the lever might move. The lever
So-
might get you trapped on the tracks.
Would I know that there's 5 people
Yes,
tied up?
you know there's 5 people.
Oh, I'm diverting it. 100% of the time.
Yeah, one life to save.
just call
5.
One life to
call
save
Denzel
5.
Washington, unstoppable.
Yeah, I think it's.
Nah, yeah.
Well,
That's- I think it's
Jeff's diverting.
relatively
What about
easy.
you?
One life to save 5.
Damn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
regardless of who they are.
I don't know, I feel like I should let it run its true course.
That's what I initially thought. That's what I actually.
thought.
That's what I thought. Like it's out of my hands.
Let's say that one bystander is your mom or something.
Yeah.
Well, that
Oh,
changes
That's
everything.
that's a different situation. But
What
I,
if-
I,
no,
I
no,
think
what
I'm
if-
still diverting.
Nah,
What
that's-
if in part of the 5 people tied up is your mum, and then one is a random bystander? Are you taking out the one?
You know what I'll
Or
do?
you save-
I'll let
Nah.
it run its course and I'll run and move the bystander. Oh, outrun the train.
Oh, super fast.
Okay,
are we?
Flash.
Hey, honestly, that's what a true hero would do.
Nah, but hey, if your mum was
Are you
part of
from a
that
comic
5,
book?
Divert it to the one person and then move him. But why would a bystander just be standing on the tracks?
Oh,
Nah, let's say he's walking. He's got his headphones
Yeah.
on. He's walking home.
I'll throw a rock at his head.
But Aaron, if that situation, if one of the 5 people was a family member, that makes it difficult then.
No. One of the 5 people is your significant other, and the other one's your mom. Go right now. Hurry up.
What
Mate, you're gonna get me in trouble, mate.
What about if there were 5 criminals
Ooh.
and the other one just a random person?
What if the other
You-
one was
no, for him who said he was gonna divert
5 criminals?
Yeah.
for one random who could
One ram-
possibly be a criminal as well.
I'm
But
still
you don't know.
diverting.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You save the criminals?
Yeah.
The
Well,
mass murderers?
I don't know what that person could be a criminal.
Well, you absolutely know these 5 people. You 100% know that
Oh.
these 5 people are criminals.
You
leave it, eh?
That's tough.
You leave it and then you let
I think
them.
I'm with Bo. I'm gonna run and try and say.
It's interesting, eh? It's really interesting to see how people reason with making a decision, because at the end of the day, you're essentially deciding who's going to die, regardless
Yeah.
of which way you go, eh?
Yeah, it's quite interesting, to hear all our answers. I think people will have different answers too.
Yeah.
And there'll be people that are in similar situations that'll have to make those calls.
Mm-hmm.
Like snitch on your
Like
friends.
Batman on Dark Knight.
It might not necessarily even have to do with these specific scenarios.
When the Joker loads them like the
Okay,
boats,
moving
eh?
on.
Yeah.
Moving on.
The
two
greatest
boats.
film. Third and final dilemma for this evening, fellas. This one's called Get Rich.
Mm.
Or die trying.
So essentially your mate tells you about this awesome investment opportunity and tells you if you invest $500,
Mm.
he'll set up an offshore account for you for all the profits. You're never going to have to work another day in your life.
Ooh.
But you get the impression that it's probably illegal. What do? Do you give him the $500, knowing, and he's not telling you any?
No details.
It's
Any
true.
details.
like
It's
I don't
true.
know.
It's true. Like
What?
Like it's legit.
Yeah.
It's what legit?
Or
Like
is
if
it a
I give my
scam?
$500 as an actual.
Oh yeah, no, wow.
It's like an actual thing.
Yeah, you'll
Oh, then
get
for
the
sure,
money.
I'm giving my 500. If I had a spare 500,
But you- knew it was illegal.
You have a feeling it's illegal.
as long as I don't know what it is, then that's fine with me.
You can go to jail for that.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
No.
Nah.
I'm gonna play dumb till I get. I'm gonna play dumb all the way to my grave.
If you're looking for someone to invest, hit this guy up.
Honestly,
Bro, you're going to jail, my guy.
how am I supposed to know?
What in the pyramid scheme?
I'll be like, first
You
of all,
have what in the Ponzi
first of
scheme
all, I'll
is
be
this?
like, what did he do, officer? I don't know.
He's like, what did I?
What's
what did
the
he do?
return though? What's the
Yeah.
return?
The return is that you never have to work another day in your life.
you're
So
like,
it's like millions.
Like
yo,
That's
You're
just
like,
like
what did
well
he do,
off.
officer, in your private jet plane? Or wait, so you either give him the 500,
Uh-huh.
right? You take the money, or you demand to know how your mate is making this money.
And stay poor.
Yeah.
And not give the 500.
No, you demand to find out.
Mm.
Like that's it. You just ask him.
I'll demand to find out, and then I leverage him. I leverage him from the money that he has. Be like, if you don't give me all your money, I'm telling you, I'm like a phone call away.
That's called blackmail.
Blackmail, baby.
Oh, man.
that's the real world.
Like
Yeah.
another day, you'd never have to work. It's $500.
And it sets up my family.
That's it to everyone.
I already see it. My
But I
face.
mean, does
But
it,
there's
does it set your family
there's
up?
a risk of getting caught. And there's a risk of you going to prison.
You're living this high life, but you have no idea where this money's come from, other than you put
Stop.
$500.
That's all I heard.
What?
No risk. No risk. No risk. All I heard was the high life.
And I'm just working my everyday job. Is it a high-paying job? Or is it the job I currently have?
It's you now. It's
Me
your
now?
situation right now.
It's a high paying job.
Oh,
so we're giving that $500, eh? Get me out of the hood.
Or you can not. You can just turn up. You say, no thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Just dap your mate up, and that's it.
You know what? I'm not a huge fan of quick money schemes. Like if you
Mm.
think that that you can make money like that overnight,
Yeah.
then it's either illegal
Too good
or
to be
it's a
true,
scam.
eh?
Or you
It's
invested
too
in
good-
Bitcoin.
too good to be true.
Bitcoin University.
But at least Bitcoin promised a long-term return. Like it was,
Yeah.
you know, eventually it would grow, and then everyone would be into it, and then you would get returns.
The
Ethereum.
trillionaire thugs. What was that?
Oh, yeah.
NFTs.
NFTs.
The NFTs.
Yeah.
Oh, that fell through, eh?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah, it's a long-term
we
investment.
might be sitting here 75 years from now.
Yeah.
Oh, remember those? NFTs?
But remember we were talking about it. Oh, we should get into it. And then
But
it actually
yeah,
fell through.
with this specific dilemma, I'll ask them what the money is for. If they don't tell me, I'm still giving it. Nah, I think I'm just gonna keep my money.
Oh,
in.
no. He tells you, okay? He
Okay,
tells you.
yeah.
And it's illegal.
It's illegal.
It's illegal, but you make
See,
back
But
$500
you
million.
make back- You never have to work another day in your life.
And your family's set up for life.
Like, is there?
I don't know. It depends how good are you at hiding
Let's
stuff.
say the chances of you getting caught is like 70%.
What if it depends on the offshore or wherever they're on the offshore accounts?
Mm.
It's you either getting caught or you're not. Okay, here it is. He tells you it's illegal. And it basically works out like this. For the next 40 years of your life,
Ooh.
you get to live the high life.
Okay.
Money coming in, not a worry in the world. But then every day after that, after that 40 years, you get caught.
Ooh.
So what, Jeff, you're...
I'm doing it. doing it.
You're 35 now, so... by the time you're 70... bro.
I'm doing it, bro.
40.
I'm doing it.
You might not even live to.
I'm doing it.
60
I'm doing
something.
it too.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing the Shawshank, and on my 60th, I'm going to live in the Bahamas or whatever.
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
And you
Yeah,
get
and,
caught. And you could be anywhere in the world, but you're getting
think,
caught
think about
in
this.
40 years.
Think about the advancements of technology, right? In 40 years' time, we'll be all living in Mars. So I'll be free of my
You'll be
crimes.
living off planet.
40 years, I'm doing it.
I don't know, because you get to 75 and your kids are having kids.
Yeah.
Probably
and
your
you maybe
kids.
get to 85 and then their kids are having kids and you're like, damn.
And
I'm
you
missing
miss
out.
all of that.
But how about the 40 years from now until then? You're like enjoying life with your family.
So when you go to jail, is there anything left for your family after that 40
Yeah,
years?
that's a great
Nah,
question.
bro.
Nothing.
Nothing.
All
Everything gets
assets are
taken
gone.
away.
They
Yeah.
start from scratch.
Because they caught you.
Okay, nah, I'm not doing it then. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna make a honest living.
No, you do it and then you tuck the money away somewhere, like cash. You just hold some cash,
Yeah.
Shawshank.
right? Oh my gosh.
Bury
and
it near
then
a
you
tree.
bury it under the tree.
Wait, I don't know. So what's everyone's answer here? I actually
Well,
don't
you
know.
said you're doing it if it's 40 years.
40 years, yep. Just
I'm
stick
not
with it.
doing it at all.
Neither.
I'm not. I don't.
I'm
I don't
saying-
Aaron taking the money every time.
Yeah, I'm saying if I don't know that it's illegal, then morally I feel great.
No, but he said that
doesn't
you
matter
do
because
know.
you'll be behind bars too.
If as long
You'll
as
be-
it's like for my own good.
But at least
I
you'll be
actually
a-
don't know, sir.
At least you'll be in there with your mate. At least you can be buddies and you can be buddies
In
locked
the
up.
cells.
It just goes to show, man.
And you'll have a lot of time to do some reflection.
Now you know what? I take that back. I'm not doing it.
Mm.
I'm
How
gonna
fast
make
did How fast did he reflect?
I'm gonna make an honest living. All right.
Yeah, that's
Set my family up.
Mm.
None of this quick money, whatever.
Still doing it.
Well, as I was saying before, it's at the end of it, you're going to be doing some reflection of some sort, eh?
Mm.
Because it just comes down to decisions. And with our discussion today, I really wanted to look at this whole idea of self-reflection,
Cool.
okay? And as we head into the end of the year, and we look back on the year that's been, and if you probably haven't done any reflection in the last few years, you should probably do some now.
Yeah.
But
Great point.
But I just want to ask you a few things, not just looking back at the past year, but maybe the last 10 years
Mm.
and further and beyond.
All right.
So I'll start off with this. What is something you wish you knew? I want to say when you're 18, but yeah, when you're 18 or 10 years ago. What's
10
something you
years
wish
ago.
you knew 10 years ago that you know today?
Mm. Great question, Chris. I can start us off. I think for myself, if I look back about 10 years ago, I would say when I first started working, to be more wiser with my
Oh
money.
my God.
And I think we can all,
Fingers
like
crossed.
that all resonates with all of us, eh? Because I didn't have much growing up. As soon as I started working and earning money, when I saw that money come in, that money's gone within a few days, eh?
Mm.
So
Child
I w-
support.
so I was actually living paycheck to paycheck, not saving anything. I was going out with my family a lot, and I didn't really care for it because all I wanted to do was spend my hard-earned money.
Mm.
And when I look back 10 years financially, I wish I was more wiser.
Yeah.
I wish I knew the things I know now. I wish I knew about Dave Ramsey earlier.
Uncle Dave.
Yeah, Uncle Dave, yeah.
What were the top 3 things you would spend your money on 10 years ago?
Oh, I think number one's always food.
Is it
Food.
Still, is it still there?
Yeah, I think it's store food, going out to eat. Because it doesn't help that I can't cook, so always eating out. Number 2 is probably like clothes, shoes, stuff like that. And then number 3 is, I would say those are the top two. It's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
just food, and it's always clothes and shoes that are needed.
I know mine was because at the time, smartphones just started becoming like a thing for everyone. You know, like this is probably like 2011,
Yeah.
2010 to 11.
Yeah.
People start like more. I think the iPhone 4 had just come out. But do you remember the ridiculous prices that you had to pay
Yeah.
for data?
Yeah.
Eh? Oh my gosh, do
Yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah,
For
I
like
do.
1 gig?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to spend so much money on that.
Did you used to spend money on the ringtones and
I still got a couple here.
on the like
Classic
$5 ringtones? I'm like, yeah, I have to get this.
Vodafone, man.
Far out.
But like just back on one of Jeff's points was his food, where you spent some of your money. Isn't that so true though? Like I think about it now, and like the old cliche, the whole old saying, like my mom can get some Maccas and stuff.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older, it's like, man, there's food at home for real.
Yeah.
There's actually
there's
food at home.
Bro, so true.
I'm so like tight now, and like we don't actually have to go to look, we can eat at home.
Yeah.
There's food at home.
There's nothing wrong with some noodles, some mee goreng.
It's like,
Like if it's there though.
The interesting thing about that, I was just talking about this the other night. Do you remember when you were broke as, and you thought to yourself, damn, if I had this money, I would get that thing, whatever, whatever stupid thing it was, I would get that. And then you have the money to get it now. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I really need that right now.
Yeah, and that comes down to delayed gratification. I wish there was something I also knew. I also learned during the time was to delay. I don't need that thing right now.
Yeah.
I don't need that pair
The
of
latest
shoes now.
Yeezys.
The latest Yeezys right now. I can wait. But when you're young and you're earning money, you're like, nah, I need that now.
that's why they
You
made
spend-
Afterpay.
Bro, that's another trap.
Yeah. Too
Man,
many
don't
traps
do
out
it.
there,
Stay away from the Afterpay.
Hey, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you get too carried away with that, you're in a big hole. You're in a dark hole.
Afterpay.
I had one and then I deleted it after.
Because it's like you can
Uncle
get
Dan.
anything you want at that, at that moment.
Yeah.
And if you build up enough points, you can buy something and your payments don't start until like a month later.
Yeah.
And it's so dangerous because you don't
Bro,
know
you
what you
got
have
to the
a
next
month later.
level.
We were like,
I didn't even access that yet.
I actually don't regret some of the stuff that I purchased on, because it was like stuff that we needed at home, and I couldn't be stuff actually like
Saving.
or like going down to the shop, or actually everything was already on Afterpay. So I just when you're shopping online, you just click the Afterpay
Like,
thing.
yeah.
Everything's automatic, and you don't have to worry about it.
Like the catch is you have to pay back with interest. No
No interest.
There's no
Not.
interest.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not necessarily bad. But if you can't control it and you get out of hand, you're in a dark hole.
No,
Yeah.
there's no interest until you
miss
payment.
Yeah,
payment.
that's the way they make
yeah.
their money, is if you miss your payments. And it baffled me that there's so many people that miss their payments.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's how they.
I didn't know that they
How
were
do you
like,
think
it
they
was such
keep
a common
running?
thing.
Yeah, because they'll be borrowing money for nothing.
But
Yeah.
then people knew that. Like
Yeah, yeah.
the
Yeah,
people
true.
who made these things knew that people would eventually miss a payment.
Yeah.
And that people do that all the time. Because, life happens. You got to pay for other stuff.
Or you
Things
just
come-
forget.
You forget.
Mm.
Yeah, I've never been behind in the Afterpay, and they're like, but they're really good because they'll send notifications like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
because you would forget about it.
Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, there are some good uses
Yeah,
for it,
yeah.
but then it
But
can
buy
also,
good.
or it can also teach people bad money
habits.
management.
Like,
Yeah.
buy stuff you actually need at home.
Yeah. That's a good reflection. Well, what's something you wish you knew 10 years ago?
Can I go a bit
Yeah.
further back?
Oh.
Well, I'll say like
So when you were 20...
I got two things that sprung to mind when you said that. The first one was I wish when I was in school I had picked up a trade. Like that's these were like free, like in course, like in
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Like, incentives given to us that I just didn't take advantage of because I was hanging out with my friends. But you see
The
all
classic.
the Balinese, all the white kids would go off and
Yeah.
start an apprenticeship with they'll start doing their apprenticeship at year 9, year 10,
Yeah.
and then finish school, and they're almost like a year or two away from completing their apprenticeship. But yeah, that was one of the things I wish I knew. I think back in school we weren't told enough about it. Like,
Yeah.
just, these guys are going to smack some hammers and smack some nails and
You can
Swing some
smack my-
hammers. swing some hammers.
Yeah, well, like those are the sort of things that I know, like most of the poly boys in school knew nothing about.
Yeah.
Like, it was just music class.
And it's funny you say that, because when I reflect back at my time at school as well, there are always those courses available,
Yeah.
but I would go to school to play sport, like, you know, and
To score 6 tries.
One
one
C.
C record, like I said. But then when you reflect back on, especially myself when I went to high school, man, there were so many things I wish I learned then that I know now, like to take school more just the typical stuff, to take school more seriously. And it's crazy when you're in school and you hear it from the older people. They're like, oh, you know, you need to focus on school, make sure your grades are good, make sure you're enrolling in this, and then you're like, nah, why do I need to do that for? You know, this is my own schooling journey. But then you look back at it and like, man, this is probably the same advice I want to give kids in school now too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was that the same experience you had?
That's exactly my experience. And if you know, I was the kid that was average at everything, but not great at one particular thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I would be, I did trades. So I did automotive.
Oh yeah.
I did mechanics. I didn't do carpentry because I thought engineering was my thing. I did sports. I played. I was in the choir. I did the shows. So I was like, and then in class, so maths and English were my favorite subjects. And then later on became history and stuff like that. So, you know, I wasn't necessarily the best in the class for all those subjects or those areas, but I was like average. I just stayed in the middle for all. So I wish that if I was to reflect now, I wish I focused on one particular thing and put all my eggs in that one basket and just went and went all in on it. If it was trades or, but you get a lot of experiences, a lot of life experiences, and some random things that I know, like just randomly because of all those courses or the classes that I was in. Like I would know musical, and then I would know rugby, and then I would know stuff about cars.
That's cool though.
But I don't know everything about cars, but there's a few, you know, there's some stuff. Like I know how an engine runs and stuff like that. Things that not everyone would know. Yeah, but I don't know every, I'm not the grease monkey. I don't know everything. Like especially the people that I had in my class.
Yeah.
At the time, they were all cars. They knew everything, and I was just in there like, cool. I just came because I thought this was like cool and everyone. But that's my reflection. I wish I actually focused on one particular subject or one thing that I was actually good at and could grow more in, and just focus in on that.
Yeah. Is it just because you wanted to learn multiple things? You wanted to know. You wanted to be, broad in your knowledge? Or is it just because you're like, oh, I just give this a go?
It's like every kid. If you're like good enough at something, you feel, you could actually do this. And I really enjoyed the automotive and the mechanics classes. That was like my favorite. Right. Yeah, like we had our own tech block boys that and then we would have, I would have the choir boys or and then have the rugby, the rugby boys as well. So yeah, it was all over the show, but I really wished that I just focused on one thing. Yeah, and really winning on that.
Dude, that's pretty good because, like right now, from what you said, I know like 100% that I didn't even know what carpentry was in school. I know 100% I didn't know what that was. So.
Yeah, I think I was more like, I wish I knew that, like high school finishing and moving on to like the next chapter of my life wasn't the end of it all. Like I felt like a lot of the learning high school actually happened after I left high school. And I thought for a long time that when I get to 18 and I leave, I should know that I need to do this and then this thing next and this thing next. And I lived, I thought that I need to live by that. And it just turned out that life's not always like that for people. Yeah,
that is true.
And yeah, I wish I knew that, this is really just the beginning.
Yeah. Is that, do you think our schools lack in teaching us like life skills?
Preparing you for the real world.
Preparing us like...
Honestly, the greatest advice I got in school was that was from one of my teachers leaving. This was like on the last day. he had his farewell speech, and he said to every single one of us, like, when you get out in the real world, no one actually cares about you. Like, we've spoon-fed you your whole life in school. When you leave this place, no one gives a crap about who you are. No one cares if you're the best player in the first 15.
The 1C record holder.
No one actually cares if you were the prefect, if you were the head boy or the head girl. Like, when you get out there, it's what you can do, what you can bring to the table, and people don't really care what your name or who you are.
That reset's really cool though after you leave high school.
Mm.
Because you've seen it, eh? You remember those, like, maybe that one guy or that one girl, like, back at school who you had no idea, like, you didn't know who they were or what they done, and then out of high school they came here like, oh, like, is that your thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you actually became really good friends with them.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys, like, went to uni or ended up working together or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
eh? But that reset where people are like, oh, I'm out of high school now. I'm not bound by, like, I have to be this person.
Yeah, that is true.
Or I have to hang with this clique at school. Hey, and then you come out of it and it's like, oh.
Seeing them
Exactly
outside
that.
of school is
No one
very
cares.
different.
No
eh?
one cares. Yeah.
No one cares what
No
you were
one
like in high
actually
school.
cares,
Yeah.
And and the playing field, like, evens out quite well.
Mm.
Yeah, like, no one cares about the popular kids.
Speaking of which, who peaked at high school?
Oh.
Tell me right now. Which one of you guys peaked at high school?
100% me.
Honestly,
I honestly can say I peaked in high school. Eh? Yeah.
You know what?
I can say same too. We had a school of 500 people, and everyone knew who everyone was.
Yeah.
And I was that guy. I was
Honestly,
definitely that guy.
if I think of health-wise and physical, like, then I'm like quite peaked in high school.
Yeah.
Eh? And that's another thing I reflect on.
Mm.
To not get lose control or to not get out of shape,
Yeah.
because the coming back from that it's a long, and it only gets worse the older you get.
Oh man.
If you're in a slump, and
Yeah.
you have to actually fight back, which is something that we're trying to do now. Or I'm trying to do now.
Hey, all of us,
slog.
fella.
It's a
all of
hard
us.
slog.
Yeah, and I'm
back,
like,
bro.
man, I wish I just stayed in shape and did the minimum that I'm trying to do now.
And that's where the like how I was saying, spending my money on food. Like my metabolism was all good at that age.
And then it catches up.
And then when,
Metabolism,
that's so
yeah.
true when they say it catches up on you. Because now when I eat that rubbish, man, that's so fast to gain weight, and I lose motivation to train, and then it just gets
That's crazy.
you just get fatigued. Eh?
That's one of those things where people told you, like, oh, you better be careful. Like the other one, the free dental care.
Oh,
come on.
Gosh.
Do you remember that? Do you
Oh,
remember when they used to turn up and be like, oh, not the damn dentist again?
Yeah.
And now every time I look at the bill,
I'm like,
or every time I look at how much it's gonna cost, I'm like,
yeah.
We didn't capitalize on those, eh?
And that doesn't
Free
get any
dental.
better too.
nah.
Like that doesn't get any better over time as well.
A lot of these things didn't turn out how we thought they would. Hey, like you thought, nah, I'm gonna be like my metabolism's gonna be on. I'm never gonna get a toothache. Hey, or whatever. I'm never gonna lose a tooth. Shout out Mina. What was it? A bus pole? Was it? But what's something in life that has not turned out how you thought it would, and how has that changed your thinking, or how has it changed you? Notes last. How has that changed? Yeah. So what's something that has not turned out the way you thought it would, and how has it changed you as a person? Or your
Great
thinking?
question. Jeff, you want to start?
This was I think this is the question I kind of struggle with the most, because like we're talking on self-reflection, and I probably don't do enough self-reflection as I need to do, but something that, so what you're pretty much asking is like something that I expected but turns out
turn out how you thought it would.
Yeah, I got one. Like, before I say I'm a true believer that things happen for a reason, and that if it didn't work out, it wasn't meant to work out. And if one door was closed for you, then there's probably another 5 open. So yeah, I'm on that, But if something that I knew, if there's something that I knew I wasn't it didn't go quite as or didn't go quite according to plan. That was labor work. Like, I'll tell you right now, I'm not cut for that. I am not cut for that.
Leave me in the office.
Honestly, I thought I was, and I really thought coming out early years of leaving high school that labor work is fine, easy. First job, picking strawberries, and I was like, my uncles were picking strawberries at the time, well, as a side hustle thing. They did it like it was nothing.
It was easy for them, mate.
So I caught me coming
easy
in.
for them.
This is gonna be the easiest stuff. Like, this is gonna be the easiest money I make. And I couldn't be more wrong. It couldn't, honestly. After that job, went to another job, CPH. CPH.
Shout out to Nebraska.
And honestly, it was some of the most enjoyable times working because it was
Wait. Can you clarify for our viewers what CPH is?
Carlton Party Hire. Shout out to Stoves, Nebraska. The 108 branch.
I always hear stories from your time
Morningside
working
fam. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
And I found out quite fast that it was demanding physically, but also like long hours and like labor work it's tough. And I thought, man, this can't be so bad, but it wasn't. It didn't go like I thought it was.
The only thing that got us through was
the banter,
and the people who were there. It was like, half of the branch was our family members.
Nah, and I think to go off what you're just saying, so my first job out of high school, I was a rubbish runner, right? And partially the reason why I wanted to do that job was because I wanted to stay fit for rugby. So this is where, so coming out of high school, I loved playing rugby. And although, we always make jokes about 1C, the brotherhood, I loved the scoring the tries, the glory that comes with that. And then I think one thing I expected for myself was to continue to play after high school. And I did rubbish running, and then I stayed fit for rugby. And shout out to Wairemata. Used to play for Wairemata. I played about 1 or 2 years, and then just lingering injuries, and then you just lose passion for it, And I think I still consider myself very young. And then when people ask me, "Oh, you're gonna play next year?" Or even when you go and watch a game and you get, cold itchy feet, and then you're like, "Oh man, I should be out there playing. I should be doing," because I loved playing, and I just love watching it still to this very day. But like that expectation I had on myself to continue to play the sport that I love and to carry that on, it's because it took up like my Tuesdays, my Thursdays, it took up my Saturdays as well. And then the time spent with the boys, the bonds that you create through that as well, playing a team sport. I think that expectation on myself that I wanted to still play, even up until now, and I'm not playing. It's like a little bit disappointing in a way as well.
It didn't work out.
It didn't work out like I expected it to. And my passion for the game is still there, but to play, it's not there anymore. As a fan,
I had a similar
analyst.
I relate to Jeff's story big time too. Not necessarily like I was like the man or something. But I'm talking about the time I invested. Throughout, I played under my first ever rugby team, or rugby game. I played with Aaron and Rodders. They were like two grades up. I was getting the beats. I was getting ragdolled. But from that age, I played probably every year right up until I was 21. And every year. So if you think about it, you wanted it to work out. You wanted to make it. And all the time that you invested, not just your time, but your family time, your support system, and everything they invested in you to hopefully make it or make something of it. And then just to get to an age, and then you like Jeff, just lose the passion for the game. And then go down a dark road of just I hated rugby for a bit.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't stand watching like any rugby games. I didn't want anything to do with rugby after that. Especially when you started to see the boys that you were playing with
Yeah.
making it, and
it,
then and the ABs, and you're like, hey, and then you just like,
I used to bump that guy.
no, not
That's
even
my
like
bumper.
that.
Like a
eh.
buckle.
But it was like a reminder that, man, you really suck. It was a reminder that, man, like they
What could have been, eh?
yeah, and what could have been,
Yeah.
they spent exactly the same amount of time you did towards the sport, and they made it and you didn't. But then coming, like even in the last few years, I've become a fan.
Yeah.
And those same boys, I'm like supporting them from home, and I'm like rooting for them. And then like I've found the beauty of the game again as a fan, as a supporter, as a parent as well. I hope when my kids grow up,
Yeah.
go play rugby
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So that's like Jeff, that didn't quite work out for me as well.
And just like me, it's highly relatable. What you know, being growing up in Australia, league,
Yeah.
loving
Massive
country,
league, eh?
and that was always what I thought
Yeah.
could have been. Obviously, it didn't happen that way, but mine happened. My main point, or my main one that I wanted to bring, is culturally. So from a very young age, I moved over to Australia, and if I had known that I was going to lose the language, along the way, so moving to Australia, so about 10 to 18, 19, whatever
Yeah.
it was,
Mm.
I know good and well that the language was lost there,
Yeah.
what do you call it, like fluently. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to get at.
Yeah.
Because I look around at the people who are my age, I look at you guys and all our other cousins, and they can all hold conversation. They can speak fluently, and I can understand and all this and that. And I think about if I stayed back here, I know for sure that
Yeah, you would be.
Yeah.
I can stand up and what do you call it, and do the vala'au, and I can
And hold a conversation.
Hold a
in Samoan,
conversation.
eh?
You don't
I
have
can-
to hide at the back
Yeah.
while they do the Bible reading.
Yeah.
I told you that in confidence. But yeah, that's for me. If I had known, along the way, growing up, I was going to lose the languages, and I don't blame my mum for this, because she's Samoan. My dad is full Samoan. My mum's Samoan. Well, she's full Samoan too, but she's
Yeah.
plastic. And so as soon as I moved to Australia, my grandparents were old. My mum, there was no it was just English speaking house.
Yeah.
So I lost the language along the way. Moved back here, and I can say picking up sort of where I left off. I can understand and sort of hold a conversation to an extent.
Yeah.
And that's
So you had that expectation that you were going to keep the language,
eh?
and
Well,
be
yeah.
fluent the whole
yeah,
time.
because when I look at these guys, it's like, man, these guys,
Yeah.
can hold it and
Yeah.
and talk, and it's expected of me when I'm standing next to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just like,
And then-
just like,
And that's the exact way I feel, like.
Yeah.
And I think I can get you. I get you on that level, because I grew up in a Samoan speaking family. Always used to speak in Samoan, and then the older I grew up, and the more I went to school, and when I started going to school, it was just English in the household.
Yeah.
And I think those expectations as well, and it's cool that you brought that up, Aaron. Is you, when you're young and you speak the language, and you expect yourself to keep speaking that way, or to continue that into your teenage adult years. And then when I'm around you boys and you guys speak Samoan, and when I'm around my family, I understand what they're saying, but it's just like, man, I wish I knew how to speak like them. And yeah, it's just stuff like that.
At least it's on your mind, though, eh?
Yeah.
A lot of people are just I don't need it.
well, what do you think the difference is though between growing up in New Zealand and growing up in Australia? Because I know for sure, and people can argue all they want, but I know for sure, growing up in New Zealand, the language is there. And I know for seeing firsthand in Australia, the language wasn't as strong there. It's I can't remember anyone or know anyone who could speak fluently.
I think
And keep the culture. is what I'm
yeah,
trying to
Australia is very young
Yeah.
in that sense.
Yeah.
The Samoan population in Samoa is growing though,
In
and you would
Australia.
see naturally the
Mm.
language start to be more. You can just see with the parades for tour, and the community starting to establish itself.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll see
Yeah.
with the churches, because the churches is the main hub.
Yeah.
Yeah, outside of Samoa or in diaspora,
I guess I said
the
that 'cause I went
churches.
to Palangi Church.
yeah. And the church is the main thing. It's the
No,
church
yeah,
is the
right.
main one. Like, and you'll see more of the churches growing in Australia. Then, but surely, naturally, that the numbers of Samoan language speaking.
Yeah, like mass migration of
We'll go.
Samoans to New Zealand happened in the
Yeah,
50s.
Yeah.
they're
So
like
we're like
way
80
ahead.
years. I mean, Samoans probably what 90s in Australia,
Yeah.
80s, 90s. So it's still quite young into their migration
True.
in Australia. And like Bo was saying, the hub or the place where language would probably be spoken the most or learned would be in the churches, eh?
Yeah.
Churches, yeah.
And
And
that's-
then like eventually make its way into schools. Like, do they offer Samoan as a subject yet over
No,
there?
definitely not.
And they'll probably be another 10, 20 years
Yeah,
away
for
from
that,
even
yeah.
considering
Yeah.
it.
And
So,
that-
and that's
That's kind of one of my lazy flexes as well. Is that when I go back to Australia, like to my cousins, I'm the fluent guy. I'm the guy like, oh, you go ask him. I'm the,
Also,
I'm the you go ask him what he wants. So I'll hold a conversation.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, eh? Because like you were all sharing about your rugby dreams and your league dreams and whatever, and how it didn't turn out the way you thought it would. Mine's similar, but different in that away from sporting arena and into like performing arts and music specifically. I always thought that I would be a full-time muser. That's what I would do.
yeah.
Now, not that this is like that dream has changed or like that's what I it's not what I want to do anymore, but I think the road to getting to where I want to be has changed or diverted slightly,
Yeah.
because you like Jeff, you mentioned that you lost the passion for playing
Yeah.
rugby and pursuing it, and bowl as well. It's the same. I never lost my passion or my love for music as an art form.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in my pursuit of, trying to be or just being involved in music full time, and only that, it's led me to other spaces,
Yeah.
which I am now also just as passionate about, if not more,
Yeah.
in the work that I currently do.
Mm.
So it hasn't turned out in the way that I thought. By this time, at 28, I'll be, full-time recording people, playing gigs, doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because now in the work that I do, which I'm very passionate about, and working with younger people, I still get some of those opportunities to do
Yeah.
that,
Yep.
which is really cool.
Yep.
So it's not all doom and gloom. But I will say this, what has led me to where I am now is, a series of events that have impacted me,
Yeah.
right? Things that have happened in the past have really shaped who I've now
Mm.
become. One of, who I've become and what I, basically my outlook, my world.
Yep.
One of the things that really changed the way I viewed the world was, again, going back to what Bo said, labor work. Like working
Yeah.
hard, blue collar jobs really changed my outlook coming out of coming out of high school, eh?
Yeah.
And just being in the environment of just, hard slog, bro. Like you
Yeah.
just turn up early mornings, you work long hours. And for the most part you get crap pay. But what are some events in your lives that have really shaped who you are and the Jeff we know now and the Azza we know now?
Yeah. Shout out to our labourers out there.
Yeah, bro.
All the
Yeah,
people
man.
keeping
Those
this country
who
going,
have been doing
man.
it for years.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have
You
nothing
guys are
but-
the true
I
goats.
Nothing but
and
respect.
we can over appreciate it because we've all done it at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And like, bro, this is hard.
I still got back problems from that.
You guys are, our
Man.
labourers, you guys are the
Is that not
goats.
from Little Easy?
Yeah, I'd say just going back, when I was growing up, I've mentioned on this podcast many times that I'm the eldest child of 4 kids. So there's a lot of things that I've seen my mum go through as a eldest child.
Yeah.
I've seen my mom and my dad's relationship. There was a lot of abuse there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of neglect as well. And just seeing how strong my mom is, raising us kids, that shaped the man I am today. It really has. And the reason why, and I know you, everyone, you guys might get sick of hearing it, or our viewers and listeners, the reason why I always bring up, mom being solo and looking after us kids, it's because it's something I'm so passionate about, And because I was the eldest, I've seen the struggles that my mom faced. I've seen the heartache, the late night cries in her bed, just the pain and the trauma that she's faced. That has definitely shaped me to be the man I am today. And all those things that have happened, and I've forgiven my dad, and that's taken me. It took a long time to get to that place of forgiveness towards my dad, and he knows I love him now.
Nice.
But that stuff, growing up, having to grow up faster than I needed to as well, because I had to be the man for my family too. That's that stuff that I went through when I was younger, growing up. It's made me the person and the man that I am today. Because if I didn't see that struggle, if I didn't face those, if I didn't see it through my mom, to see the pain on her face and could feel it as well, I wouldn't be the person that I am. So those events that happen, it's definitely shaped me to be the man I am. Yeah.
Nice. And just quickly, also, I just want to, say we appreciate sharing that, and not to trigger anyone and to bring up anything.
Disclaimer, sorry. Sorry,
but
guys.
I think for us, especially as Pasifika men, it's so important that we look back at these experiences.
Yeah.
Because, I was reading this quote by a guy named John Dewey. He's a American philosopher, and you're saying that you don't learn from your experiences, you learn from reflecting on your experiences.
That's good.
Which is to say that as you look back at that, right, it's easy just to see the hurt and just the pain. And but it's so important for you to look at that and say, okay, these are the reasons why I feel like this. This is what happened, and this is what I, as a man, am going to do moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Because now that shapes how you make your decisions, how you're going to treat your wife,
exactly,
your fiance and soon-to-be wife. But that's why I think it's really important that we have an opportunity to self-reflect. Otherwise, we'll just carry on doing the same thing.
I agree.
And even expecting a different result. And we're just stuck in the cycle of that never ends. So thanks for sharing that.
I always when Jeff and I have similar stories in terms of of being raised by our mothers, and I like every time Jeff talks about his mum, I always have that sense of appreciation for her, but also just man, I feel you. Like I really do, and I hear you, because it's similar, and there'll be listeners out there that can also relate. Just tough homes, growing up, and maybe some tough experiences between or marriage in the house, and relationships that parents or like a season that your parents go through that may have an impact on you that you haven't really acknowledged or recognized, and then be able to reflect upon. So I think that you talking or sharing about your experiences with mum and your household, and then like trying to reflect upon it as well, like that's so powerful. It's so powerful, and it adds to our discussion there. It adds to the trauma that we continue to unpack.
Yeah.
And we don't plan. We don't plan to talk about any trauma to try and address a specific experience or from the past and see how it can tie into what we're discussing. But that's just how the course of our discussion goes.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing, Jeff,
Thanks,
and
brothers.
being vulnerable as well. Because there's some, like, you don't always want to air out, personal things, especially when it comes to your parents.
Yeah.
Because we try to be protective of,
Yeah.
and we try to have the view that, my family's like, I grew up in a strong family and they were set. And to be able to speak openly, like, appreciate you also.
Thanks, brother.
That speaks also to the fact that, like, family is not perfect.
Mm.
And that's, I think, in essence, the beauty of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like families aren't. I don't think they're designed to be perfect.
Yeah.
They're designed for you to do life with these people,
Yeah.
and to go through all these experiences.
Yeah.
But also how these things shape you and develop you into who you've become. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a broken record too. It's no, nothing. It's just like you guys. I'm always gonna plug my parents as well, and I've said it before. But just growing up, mum, dad, the church, cousins, family, the village, they all shaped and helped me to be who I am today. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but it really is.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, just I had a great upbringing. Surrounded by family all my life. Mum always tells me that I was such a good kid. She never had to worry about me at all. Like,
Oh, how things
how things have changed.
Everything that I've ever done in life, like, she's never had to like be concerned about. Are you sure? Or are you right? And I don't know if that's a pretty stock standard answer. My family raised me to be, or pretty much shaped me to be who I am today. Maybe I say that because I haven't achieved anything great so far. No, I don't know. Yeah, but that's my family they shaped and made me who I am today. That's just the straight answer there.
Yeah. That's not really a stock standard answer.
No, it's not.
That's the honest truth.
Yeah, it is.
And like sorry to like our listeners and our viewers for.
Nah, you're good, man. Don't apologize for being real.
The reason why sorry, Bo, I'll let you go after this. The reason why I bring that up and seeing my mum go through the stuff that she went through was because hopefully when I know I'm engaged and I'm going to be married soon, I can be a great husband. I can be a great man to my wife. I want to and I'm such a peaceful person. I don't like confrontation. I hate that, and I think that stems from that. So those experiences have really shaped the person I am today. I don't like confrontation. I always want to keep the peace among people, and I just want to encourage those people that, like what Paul was saying, that's facing similar things that maybe I went through, or maybe there's unforgiveness there towards somebody, whether that's a family member, a friend. When you can forgive that person, because that's the only way forward. And I think forgiveness is such a big thing, because a lot of us hold on to grudges. A lot of us hold on to things that people have done towards us. But once you forgive that person, it's so freeing. You can continue to just be the best version of yourself. And
everyone's really on their own journey with that. Because it's really easy to look from the outside and to sit here and say, like, forgive. But you're speaking from an experience of how freeing that has been for you. You know, because like the severity of things that have happened, to people by others. And forgiveness is it is such a simple thing, but it's not necessarily an easy thing.
Facts. It's always easier said than done. Especially when you're a victim and you have to forgive someone else. My changing event or life-changing moment would be obviously when I had kids.
Yeah.
And it closes a chapter of my life that was all about me.
And us.
All about
And
us
the boys.
And the boys.
and and that, and then it transitioned into being about my family, or my smaller family, and being about my eldest Ari, and that whole first year of Ari's life was probably the toughest. I went through some of the toughest battles, mentally, physically as well. Like drained. I was drained. Even with in our relationship, Danielle and I's relationship, we were like, because you never really know someone until you live with them, and like like social media, you only see the best of your partner when you catch up.
You three, the bridge. You guys can,
and you only see the cool things.
Facts.
Like, oh my gosh, it's so, and it's always highlights and. But then when you start to live, and she would say the same thing about me.
eh?
She would say even worse.
Yeah.
She would say even worse things.
You played her, bro.
Yeah. She would say even worse things about me. But like just that first year of Ari's life, like because we were kids having kids.
Yeah.
And we wanted to be mature. We wanted to grow up and prove everyone that we could do this.
Yeah.
But like we were still relatively young. We were still kids and having a kid. And so we were clashing because Danielle wouldn't know what makes me angry. I wouldn't know what really ticks her off. And we were actually that whole first year, we're like finding these little bits and pieces of our relationship. We're finding out, as well as growing as individuals and becoming mature, having responsibilities, having to pick up maybe an extra shift or like actually getting into a part-time job while studying or something like that. And so that whole first year it was tough. I really came around the boys. Like I remember you three started hanging out without me, and I had the biggest FOMO of my life. I was like, when you're having shisha up in K Road, and then you're playing bananagrams, and I was like, and they had the nerve to post it on their socials, and it was like all these little things, all those little things. But then coming out after that first year, we start to settle in. Our families start to come around, and it's starting to get to be normal for us to be seen, and then right up and like that, Ari's second year, third year, fourth year, and then till now it's been like the best. It's been like we're in a really good place.
My guy,
so much growth in that first. And it does take a whole lot of challenges and trials and some really tough times. Like we talked about that night that Aaron picked me up from BP, or he dropped it in an earlier episode. Like I had a little like just mind blank at home and just left. Where I just went walking and I didn't know where I was going and I didn't really have, but you were so, we were so at it at home. There were tensions between our families and all and everything else happened that I just like out and left, walked to the petrol station, then realized, damn, I don't even know where I was going. I remember that whole first year I didn't have a phone. Because I didn't really, and so like no one could contact me, and I'm like, damn, it's like this is a great idea, but that's like it's those moments that really changed my life, and now that I sit here, I'm like, man,
you went for a walk, like you just took off, and you had no intention of going anywhere. You just like walking, getting away from like the situation, whatever the issue was. Sometimes men will break stuff. Like punch a wall, boys. You've all done this, slam a door, throw a few things.
a few of that.
And the frustration manifests itself in different ways. The whole idea of self-reflection and why I'm not an expert on this. But why I think it's tough for us men to do this is because like essentially you create a witness for to testify against yourself. And
Yep.
because then you have to look at what you've done,
Yeah.
right? And be like, is that okay? Like, as a man,
Mm.
right? Look at the way that you've reacted or the way that you've treated someone,
Yeah.
and the way that you've been a partner to someone else,
Yep.
right? And say like, is that right? Like,
Mm.
does that align with who I am?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you never know until you ask yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You start
And it's
reflecting.
really actually quite confronting
Yeah.
Yeah.
because quite often you are then wrong.
Yeah.
And,
Like
and
nine
I'm
times
never
out of
wrong.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10 you're wrong.
Yeah.
Or 9 times out of 10 I'm wrong. Actually 10 times out of 10 I'm always
Yeah.
wrong. So
Yeah, and that self-reflection is, man, it's so important, because like I was saying before, man, I rarely ever self-reflect. And it's maybe because I don't want to point out the flaws
The
in
flaws,
myself,
yeah.
eh? And then when you self-reflect, you're like, could I have done that differently? Could I have spoken to my partner differently today?
no.
Why
No,
why
you don't
did
have
this
to.
argument start
She
here?
deserved it.
Why did I make this decision here? And it's important to, not like to be in your thoughts all the time, but to just sometimes to take a step back and be like, man, why, what, self-reflect how your week has gone, what's the next few days going to look like for you.
Yeah.
If you're feeling something, if you're feeling some type of way, what led to those feelings, and self-reflection,
and definitely touches on what we talked about a few weeks ago
Mm.
about how we are taught to be men.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a part of it, right?
Mm.
Because it's all good and well to say you should do some self-reflection and, really be
Yep.
critical
What
of.
does that look like?
But what does that look like for, a guy who should be able to take it all? Like
the guy
Mm.
should, is the leader of the family.
Yeah.
and
The
he
family.
has all the answers.
you should be able to brush it off. You should be able to carry that,
Yeah.
right? And I think, again, that's another reason why it's just really tough for us as men to
Yes.
to do this,
Yep.
because it brings up all of that, and there's so many layers to it.
Mm.
There's so many layers to understanding what it is to be a man,
Yep.
to understanding how to address one's feelings,
Yes. Yep.
because it feels girly.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on.
And that's part of self-reflection,
Reflecting,
Because
Yeah.
the only
It's-
people who do reflecting in this world are women.
And they talk about it.
Preach.
And for men, when
can
you
relate.
strip it back, honestly, more often than not, whatever you did, you're just stupid. Yeah, honestly, just
Yeah.
if you get the time to sit down and think
Yeah.
and actually reflect, it's like
Well, that's
more
another
often than
thing.
not, and you're so oblivious to it.
Yeah.
You're so oblivious to like, nah, man, I'm all good.
but that's the other thing, Like, Paul just said it. If you get the time to think,
Mm.
how many of our men don't have
Yeah.
that time? Don't
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
luxury to sit around and be like, how do I feel today?
Yeah.
Because you're so worried about 10 other things
Yeah.
that are prioritized and come
Right,
before
straight
your
up.
own needs.
Mm.
But there's this thing that's eating away at you, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't have the time to address that, or that's not important because A, B, and C are much more important right now. Whereas if we think about, yourself as a whole being, right?
Yeah.
And taking care. We've already talked about this on so many, on more than just the physical level. Eh?
Yes.
On the spiritual, on the mental, all these emotionally, all these things contribute towards, yourself as a
Yeah.
whole
Who you are. Yeah.
and who you are and,
Yep.
and your health
Mm.
and your what are you like whole order, like more
Yeah.
than just
the whole model.
Your well-being, eh?
your well-being,
Yeah.
like
Your fonofale.
facts. What a follow too.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, what I want to do is just in rounding this off. I didn't share my.
Share your reflection
I didn't share my
right
reflection.
now.
What was one thing that changed? I've had so many, but one that really sticks out to me because it was with, essentially complete strangers.
Yeah.
Was like I was saying, was working in these blue collar jobs, and so out of high school, I worked for a little bit. Then I studied, but in between semesters and summer breaks, I would work
Yeah.
like hard out as much
Mm.
as I could, and the only work that I could get was, stacking pallets, frozen meat.
Oi.
And I would go to these places, and we'll sit down at Smoko, and the guys that I sit across from are like, when I look in their faces, I see my uncles, the deacons at my church, all like just Pasifika and Māori men, you know, just fill these places up. And what the Samoan men used to say to me every time I would leave was, "Don't come back." Like brothers, they would say, like, I started with another young Samoan guy, I forget his name, but we went into the smoker room, right? Like, gonna go whatever, gotta get some money, you know, and we're on a break, and the Samoan guy sits down there, he's an old Samoan fella, and he's like, "What are you guys doing here?" We're like, "Oh, we're temps, we study." He's like, "No, what are you guys doing here?" Like, look how young you are. And we're like, oh, damn. It's one of those places. But what it done for me is it really made me appreciate, because after I could see my uncles, the men in my church, I really saw my dad, right? And for me, when that hit me, like, damn, you know, I was just doing this to get some cash. But the hard work and the understanding of how hard the work is. Shapes
really,
your
perspective.
Really shaped, like, damn, I was grateful. You know, I was grateful that this was a choice for me. I could just come here, and if I want to take the day off, I just, you know, then the temp place will call me like, "Where the hell are you?" At home.
I'm a temp for a reason.
Like, but you know that was a choice for me. Because of what my dad had to do, what my mum had to do, what my grandparents had to do. Right?
It's like what we said before. Our parents, our elders, they paved the way for us to.
100%.
Yeah, cool.
And
man.
so that was one thing that really, really kind of solidified the appreciation that I have now for my parents and for my grandparents, and for everything they've done for me.
And it should inspire all our young people. Nothing's wrong with the labour work. Because no one, grind is grind, hustle is hustle, especially when you need to. But if you have the choice and you have the time,
resources,
and especially if your parents are still working hard as well, maybe look for something else. Look to upskill and just, man, there's so many things out there that you could be doing.
And I know for a lot of us, like, that's what you said there is we know that's what we should be doing. But it's like I speak for myself, I'm so just in the notion of just like
comfortability.
Comfortable. It's you know, you have to. Well, you said it before, Chris, that our grind has to be different to our parents, and I know where, you know, I should be, you know, doing better for not only myself but my mom and my dad as well. You know, the sacrifices they made to get me to where I am today. So that is something that I will be reflecting on.
Hard. That's good.
Be comfortable and being uncomfortable.
That's it.
Because honestly, when you're comfortable and you're in a space and you're in a routine, that's all you know. The hardest thing for you to do is to leave, or to have it, like, to change. Or to step it, or even start thinking, I need to change.
Change is always hard.
It comes back to self-reflection.
Self-reflection.
That first step of stepping out and maybe just saying, man, I want more, or I want something different.
I want to try something different.
And then just go for it. Like, that's
because it's insane. Like, it's crazy if you're doing the same thing but expecting a different result. Right? We all know that.
Insanity.
If you always do what you've always done, you always get what you always got.
I guess I'll leave it at this then. And Paul really summed it up nicely. It's get comfortable with being uncomfortable, especially in self-reflection. Be ready to sit there and ask yourself those tough questions. And if that's not, if you're not ready for that level yet, or if you're not ready for the severity of
then
that,
just go for a walk.
You know, start with the small things.
Have some time.
Have some time. Just take some time to sit down and be like, damn, like, how do I speak to people? Or I don't know. Start where you need to start. Everyone's on their own journey.
How was your day? Maybe start at that. What did I do today?
And for those, because, like, like what we've been saying. You know, it's self-reflection isn't easy. We can speak about it here. You can hear it wherever, but doing the actual self-reflection is not easy. But just remember, all you need to do is start.
Yeah. And
That's the first step. Let's just start.
And the best thing is for it to come from you, because I know there are workplaces where they reflect on your performance, and then that's where you don't.
That's not who you are,
and that's not where you want to be.
Yeah.
But that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
Like in the world that we live in, they reflect on your performance. They reflect on you as a person.
Yeah.
It's about time you start reflecting on yourself,
Reflect
or
on
beat them
yourself.
to it and start thinking about it for yourself.
Because in doing so, what essentially what you're getting at is, I can look at something and not just stare at what's happened in the past, but then take a learning from it.
Yes.
Because then when this happens again, and it will, I guarantee you, because that's how life works, in a different form with a different face, I know how to approach the situation. I know how to behave. So, final takeaway, I love what Paul said. I'm going to leave it with this. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Another one in the bag, boys.
Let's go.